report. The Space Shuttle Challenger, apparently moments after takeoff in a hard freeze from Florida, something went wrong. The vehicle reportedly has exploded. Now what we're going to do is show you the launch of the Space Shuttle this morning. A minute, this was the launch.
7, 6, we have main engine start, 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it is cleared the
looked
tower.
good.
Now control. Roger, roll, Challenger.
This is videotape of the liftoff this morning of the Space Shuttle Challenger. A minute and 12 seconds after the liftoff, something happened. Reportedly, there was an explosion. There's 7 astronauts aboard the Space Shuttle. That includes schoolteacher Krista McAuliffe of Concord, New Hampshire.
Flight 104%.
At this point, about a minute into the launch, everything looked all right.
Engines at 65%, 3 engines running normally, 3 good fuel cells, 3 good APUs. Velocity 2,257 feet per second. Altitude 4.3 nautical miles, downrange distance 3 nautical miles. Engines throttling up, 3 engines now at 104%.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
Challenger, go at throttle up. 1 minute 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
Now, this is a live picture from Cape Canaveral, Florida, of a parachute. I can't tell you anything more about that parachute because, to be perfectly frank with you, we don't know what that parachute is about. Now, let me repeat, because this story is it's a breaking story, obviously an important story, a big story, the kind of news that no one wants to report. The Space Shuttle Challenger has been plagued by delays these last few days. This is the one that was to take up 7 people, in the astronauts, including the school teacher, who was put aboard as the first, actually, what we call strictly civilian person to be aboard a space shuttle. The Space Shuttle launch had been delayed for several days. It was a hard freeze in Florida overnight. No one is suggesting that that did or did not have anything to do with what happened to the Space Shuttle. Challenger, as you saw in that videotape we played, the launch seemed to go all right, but a minute and 12 seconds into the launch, something went wrong, and the report is that the vehicle exploded. Then you saw that live picture of the parachute coming down, and what we know is limited to that. Now, let's try to pick up Mission Control in Florida if we can. I'm not sure that we can, but I am hearing in my ear Mission Control with an explanation. Let's try to pick up Mission Control.
Including ships and a C-130 aircraft. Flight controllers reviewing their data here in Mission Control. We will provide you with more information as it becomes available. This is Mission Control, Houston.
Now, the information from Mission Control in Florida, and that was live from the Mission Control in Houston. Those of you who followed the space program know that the launches are made from Florida, but Mission Control is in Houston. Now, Mission Control explained, I'm not sure that you could hear that part of it, that the parachute you saw was a paramedic who was parachuting into the area in the water off the coast of Florida, where it was believed that possibly some of the debris from what is thought to be the exploded space shuttle was coming down. Understand the picture as best we can make it out. The launch, the delayed launch of the Space Shuttle Challenger went off this morning, and for a minute and 12 seconds everything seemed to be all right. Then, apparently, reportedly, this is the word from NASA, the vehicle reportedly exploded. Now, we're going to roll the tape again for you of this morning's launch. As of this morning, this is the launch 10 seconds before the explosion. Let's listen and watch.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
Challenger, go at throttle up. 1 minute 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
It was at this point that something happened. The vehicle apparently exploded. Confusion at Cape Canaveral scene of the launch, and some confusion at Mission Control in Houston.
Flight controllers here looking very carefully at the situation. Obviously a major malfunction.
Major malfunction being a euphemism in this case for a belief that the vehicle had
We have no
exploded.
downlink.
And after that, NASA dispatched as quickly as possible recovery ships to the area in which what is presumably to be left of the space shuttle were headed toward the scene. The parachute shot that those of you who have been with us during this CBS News special reports may have seen is now confirmed to be a paramedic who was parachuted into the general area. Now, it's important to emphasize to you what we know about this story and what we don't know about this story. Number one, nobody knows what happened, exactly what happened aboard the space shuttle this morning. What we do know is that NASA says that something happened to the space shuttle. Reportedly, the vehicle exploded. A minute and 12 seconds into the launch, recovery ships are on the way to an area where whatever and whomever is left of the space shuttle might have come down. A paramedic has parachuted into the area. Now, there are safety procedures aboard and escape procedures outlined for the space shuttle. Whether any of those were put into operation, we simply do not know. Now, what you have here is you have a reporter who is vamping for time at the moment because we hope to get more information as we're on the air. This was the space shuttle in which the school teacher, Krista McAuliffe of Concord, New Hampshire, was very excitedly awaiting her space shot. It had been delayed repeatedly. NASA's been plagued, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration has been plagued by a lot of bad luck and some poor workmanship over the past few months. But throughout the space shuttle program, in fact, the whole American space program, it has been emphasized repeatedly that while these space shots may appear to go off so effortlessly, that there's always a tremendous amount of preparation involved, and it has always been emphasized a tremendous amount of risk. Such space shots are, of course, dangerous. Everyone had hoped over the years and prayed over the years that nothing would ever happen of this sort, and apparently this morning one stopped short of saying that the worst has happened here, but clearly something very bad has happened aboard the space shuttle. The vehicle has reportedly exploded. Now, Bruce Hall, our veteran CBS News correspondent who's covered so many of these space shots, is at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Bruce, I paused only for a moment to make sure that you were in Florida and not at Mission Control in Houston. Bruce, what do we know? What has happened?
We know very little at this time. We saw the shuttle go off just as everyone else did. It appeared to go for about 30-35 seconds. And from those of us who have observed many of these launches, there was obviously a premature explosion of some nation. It appeared that the solid rocket boosters may have exploded. And then a few seconds later, it appeared that the Challenger itself, the shuttle, exploded. We saw several large pieces, large objects, going down into the ocean. It appeared to be about 15, maybe 20 miles off the coast. We have received very little information from NASA so far. They have indicated that they are still trying to figure out exactly what happened. They immediately lost all communication with the shuttle. And we did see, as I think you have reported, some parachutes. Those were paramedics being dropped into the ocean, trying to see exactly what they could find and any chance of survivors. But everything here indicates that it was a major malfunction. It caused an explosion in the shuttle, and there is very little chance that anyone could have survived that blast.
Bruce, this happened, we're told, a minute and 12 seconds into the launch. what would have been happening at that precise moment?
Well, the first crucial thing that happens is at 2 minutes and 7 seconds into the launch is when the solid rocket boosters, the two large fuel tank-looking devices that are on the side of the shuttle,
Excuse me, Bruce,
separate
just
from the
one
shuttle.
second. Bruce, let me, for 1 second, if we can, we have a model here in our studios in New York. This is Dan Rather, CBS News in New York, with a special report about what apparently is an explosion of the Space Shuttle Challenger this morning, 1 minute and 12 seconds into the launch. Bruce Hall, our veteran CBS News correspondent, is in Florida. Bruce, I wanted to interrupt for just 1 second for those who are unfamiliar or have perhaps need a slight review. The way the Space Shuttle goes up, this is the Space Shuttle itself. This is a model. These are the solid rocket boosters that Bruce is talking about. This is what we might call the